G'day Marty and Sally, I'm Tarrot. This morning I'm going to show you through your van and just show you a few bits and pieces that we'd ordinarily do if you're picking it up in person, but because we can't, we thought we'd put in a video for you. Right, might start off with the hookup, because obviously that's going to be the first thing you're going to need to do as soon as you get the van. All right, so what we have here is a DO35 hitch, but before you use that, you need this, which is the DO35 pin. This will be in your toolbox. In your toolbox we've got a heap of goodies for you. We've got drinking water hoses, we've got power leads, we've got a torque wrench, we've got a jack, and all those bits and pieces that you need to be able to operate the van. That's one generator slide. You've ordered a second generator slide, so I've just opened up to make sure that was operational for you. All right. So the first thing you need to do is take this cover off. This can be a bit tricky. And this is the DO35 pin. So this replaces your 50mm ball on your car. So you just take your ball off, wind that out until you tighten that up until you flatten that spring washer. All right, the desired height from the ground to the pin, or to the base of this pin, is 550mm, or as close as. So depending on your tow bar on your car, you may have to flip the bar or something like that. Try and get as close to that as possible, because once you drop it on, we want to try and get the rig to be nice and flat, or as close to flat as possible. When you put this onto the car, so now this is on the car, you wind this down onto it, the pin will come up and sit in between those two. You press this button here, and now that is locking the pin on. That is absolutely imperative. If you don't do that, the van will come off the car. This dust cover here clips on over the top of it. That only clips on if that is locked, if that pin is locked on. To release it, you hold that button down there and push that. The pin will come off. This won't go on there now. That actually won't fit unless that pin's locked on. All right, so just remember that one. We've got your trailer harness, which is a 7-pin flat, and an Anderson plug, which will be operational for your fridge. All right, so you need to make sure you've got both of those on. These 7-pin flat harnesses are wide to the Australian standard. Any auto electrician should know what they're doing with that one, but if you've got any problems, let us know. You've got your breakaway cable. So this breakaway cable here activates, if the van was to come off the car, this pin will pull out here and it will activate the brakes on the van and pull the van up. This needs to be attached to your car. It's supposed to be attached to somewhere separate to your tow bar, but in a lot of cases that's not possible. But just make sure it's not attached to a D-shackle or anything like that. Okay? Don't pull this out and use that as a handbrake. These aren't fused and will burn themselves out after a period of time, but these are only for an emergency. All right? You've got your safety chains, obviously on both sides. I'm probably going through a bit of basic stuff here, but I'd rather cover everything. When you hook these up, you do need to cross your chains. The idea behind that is if the van was to come off the tow bar, the chains will actually catch the front of the van and stop the van from hitting the ground and digging into the ground. Your ratchet handbrake, of course, don't tow with that up. You'll do some damage. Your jockey wheel, this is a double jockey clamp so you can adjust the different heights. I strongly suggest that you don't travel with that on, that you actually take that off and put it into the toolbox when you're traveling. Some people think turning it upside down or whatever, but they'll just rattle around and do damage to themselves. All right, in here, there's probably not too much to talk about in here other than the gas bottles at this point. But if you have a look here, you've got your gas regulator. You've got this valve here. This one points to which gas bottle you want to operate. So if you want that one to operate, you turn it that way. If you want that one, you turn it that way. I'll turn this one on here so we can... These gas bottles will be full for you, by the way. I'll turn that one on so we can see how everything works inside when we go inside in a minute. All right, just be aware that when you travel, that you're supposed to turn these off. You're also not supposed to store anything in here that can create a spark as well, and there's warning labels and all that sort of stuff on there. All right. Go around to the side of the van. And here's your through boot. Affixed to this wall here will be the compliance plate. I've actually got it on my desk there and I haven't fitted it to the van. The van weighed just over 2,500 kilos and has an ATM of 3.5 tonnes, so nearly a full tonne payload, which is awesome. We're going to go around and lock all the hatches and everything before it goes onto the truck to come down to you. There's a heap of keys. What I've done with the keys is I've separated one bunch of keys to being just one of every key you need, and then there's a big bundle of spare keys. Also in the instruction manuals, I've also put a chart in to show you what each key does in case you get a little bit confused. All right. External table. Obviously don't travel with that up, and with these, you do have to be a little bit careful because I've been caught out on this too. They can sit up like that and you think they're locked and they're not, and while you're traveling they'll open. So make sure if it's up, you lock it straight away. Otherwise keep it down. We've got your outside entertainment area, which is your 240 power, your 12 volt power. Your TV just slips off the wall inside and you slip straight onto there, and then your TV antenna. Okay, so this is the offside of the van. On the offside of the van, we've got a few things going on here. First one is your toilet cassette. All right, so to pull the cassette out, press a handle, pull it right out. Then this green lever here, you just lift that and gently coerce it out. And that should all come out one unit. That is on wheels. Now, to empty that, pull this open, you unscrew that, and you tip it into your dump point. If it's not flowing out very fast and you want to speed it up, you just press that button in there and it releases some air. It allows us to go in. Obviously, to put it back in, it's just the complete opposite of that. Do make sure it goes right in, and what happens when you push it in, this flap pulls back and opens up. So you will need to make sure that's happening, which you can see that. Locked in. Very simple. All right. There's different chemicals you can get to use your toilet. Using your toilet, there's proper dedicated toilet chemicals, but you can also use products like liquid nappy sand and stuff like that as well. Stabiliser legs, since we're here. This is one of your stabiliser legs, one of 4 obviously. You just use the socket that we provide to wind it down, but to actually operate it, you pull that out, let it drop, and then wind it down. I just have a socket on an electric drill, cordless drill. They're not supposed to take the full weight of the van, so don't ever use them as a stand, but definitely can balance the van and stabilise it a little bit. They will need lubricating from time to time too. A lot of things around the van will need lubricating, so just keep an eye on that. WD-40 or silicone spray, depending on what it is. A grey water tank. So currently, grey water tank is in storage mode as the handle's turned off. All you need to do if you want to use this without storing the water is attach your hose and run it off, and then open that out, and then the water will come out as we use it. We've got our water fillers down the side. So first one is we've got 2 water fillers here. Your mains tank and your drinking water tank is further down here. All right. When you turn these, if they're tight, like this one is, that means it is unlocked. When you lock it, they actually spin freely. So I get a lot of people confused because they think when it's unlocked, oh, it's easy, but it's not. It's actually locked. I don't even lock them at all myself, but this one here is so that's just to fill your water tank. So you just drip your water hose into it. This is mains water pressure. So for the mains water pressure, you take that off. We've supplied you the male end of the connection, which you'll screw into that. That's in your toolbox. Then you just plug your hose in. That will now override your water pumps. So your shower, your basins, and your washing machine will run off mains water, not your water tank. The only exception to that is your drinking water tank, which is always isolated. So the tap in the sink inside will always come off your drinking water tank. But otherwise, if this is plugged in, everything's coming off that. It doesn't fill your water tanks though. All right, so that's the one thing it doesn't do. I think that's it for this side of the van. Other than quickly talk about when you jack up your wheels. So if you need to change a tyre or remove a wheel, we strongly suggest you jack up the suspension, not the whole van. And it's hard to see from here, but at the bottom of those A-arms, there's a round circle. That is your jacking point. You put your jack underneath there, and you actually only jack up a wheel at a time, so the whole van doesn't leave the ground. Much safer, much easier to do. All right, let's have a look around the other side. We've got your awning lights. At the moment, they're currently set to white, but there is a way of changing them to yellow, which is a good bug deterrent. And they're all here at the door here. These 4 switches are your outside lights, your internal step light, which is the one down the bottom there, and then this one here is an override for all the lights in the van. So if you turn that off, all the lights will go off in one go. Most of the lights in the van are individually switched as well. So once they're all on like that, you can go around and turn the ones you want off. When you turn it on, they'll turn it off, they'll all go off. Your electric step, you got your switch in here. So you make sure the electric step is in the complete closed position or the complete open position, nowhere in between. If you don't have it quite down, you step on it, you will break it or hurt yourself. And now I'm going to show you how to operate the awning. You can do it with one person. It is a lot easier with two people, so I've got Derek here giving me a hand on this one. First thing you do, this rod here, which will be inside your through boot, you use this, come up here and grab that little lever underneath there. I don't know if you can see that in the film. And you just click it down. It's not hard to do it, just a nice gentle click down. You then have this arm here, and if you probably come around to the side to see this one here, you slide this up, that unlocks it, you do that both ends. Slides up, Derek. Yep. All right, so once you've done that, you grab this loop here with the end of the rod and you pull it out. Pull this down into, you can't go any further, which is about there. Then you're gonna have to come underneath here, cameraman. Then the next stage is to grab this one here, make sure this is backed off there, slide it all the way up until it clicks into this little bracket up there. You'll hear it, feel it click in. You then tighten this up here. And then we lift the whole thing up. So this handle here, there's actually a smaller little handle here that releases this pin. You need to grab that with your finger as you're lifting it up. And you slide the whole thing up to your desired height. And that's pretty much it. You can release these legs from the van. So by grabbing this bracket here, I can release this and pull this leg out, and then pull the leg right out and pin it down into the ground, which is what you do if you're fitting an annex or something like that, generally. And then, yeah, that's pretty much how you put it out. Then bring it in is almost the exact reverse. So you lower these arms back down. Making sure you grab that little pin each time. That's probably the thing most people forget. You back off this handle up the top rail here. And this one here, Matt, if you can come and have a look at this. When you want this, now we want this to slide back down, there's actually a button you press down underneath there. I don't know if you can get that. You press that in and then you slide that all the way back down to the bottom so it can't go any further. All right, now holding this strap, make sure you hold it. Come back to this original button that we did with the rod, and we're going to release it here. As soon as you do that, the whole awning wants to slide back into the van. So make sure you hold it. All the way back into it. Just clicks in. Don't let it fly back into the van because it will do damage to itself. You then slide these locks back down and just finger tight that knob at the back there. And that's how you do the awning. All right guys, so this is the back of the van. The back of the van we've got our two service hatches. On this side here we've got our plumbing. So in here we have our two water pumps and our water filter. Not too much in there that you really need to touch. The pumps do need adjusting from time to time, but when you get to that point, talk to one of us on the phone and we'll talk you through how to do it. But because they're nice and accessible, it's actually not too hard at all. Other than that, you really probably don't need to touch that area. But on the other one, we have got our power system. Now this is when things get a little bit more technical, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Alan to come and explain the power system a little bit to us and sort of what we have to do. Alan, do you mind?
No, certainly.
Okay, so Alan, we've got our two batteries here and our inverter charger.
Yep.
What do we do?
Well, we've got to make sure the inverter charger is in the on position all the time.
So that switch on the front of the panel
there?
there?
Switch on the front there is leave it in on because you've got a remote switch inside that you change over to go between inverter and charger.
Sure, that makes sense, yep. And batteries?
So, batteries, if you're going to store the van for any length of time and you're worried about parasitic draw from anything with a memory digital clock, what you can do, you can press a blue button on each battery to turn the batteries off. and that will stop any parasitic draw. You might have to reset digital clocks and things because you've turned the battery off. But when you're ready to go again, plug it in, charge it up a couple of days beforehand, and turn the batteries back on.
Awesome. What we might do is we might jump straight inside the van now and have a look at the inverter switches on the inside and the control panels inside, and we'll get Alan to explain that to us. Okay, Alan, do you mind explaining what all this is? Because there's a bit there, actually.
So what we have here, we have the mains inverter changeover switch. We have a RCD for the mains and a separate RCD for the inverter. So it's like an earth leakage circuit.
So you don't need to touch them unless something's gone?
Don't need to touch those unless they click off if you're on either mains or inverter.
Yeah, so if there's been a problem or something like that?
Yeah, there's obviously an electrical issue.
Okay.
If you want to turn the van from mains to inverter, if you're free camping, you're going to turn the main switch all the way down to inverter. And then this switch over here, which is usually in the charger side, you want to flick to on. And now the inverter's on. As you can see, the microwave has power to it.
So now technically I can run, all 240 power points will now be running off the batteries in the van.
Correct.
You could run even the air conditioner or something like that for a short period of time.
Short period of time with the air conditioner, yep. Depends on what batteries you've got.
Okay. What's this other one here with the big screen on it? The red button.
The red button, a hot water system.
Okay.
So if you've got your pumps on, what you can do, you can actually adjust your temperature of your hot water system. Minimum temperature is 35, maximum temperature is 51. So if you want to adjust the temperature up, obviously the hotter the temperature, the more gas you're going to use.
So from what I understand with this instant hot water system, when you're having a shower or whatnot, you just use the hot water only. You don't mix it with cold water at all. So you set your temperature up there.
Set your temperature up there and you can be comfortable.
Yeah, and just turn it full blown hot
water.
water.
On.
Yep, all right. So no need to mix the cold water like you do with the storage tank. Yeah. Okay, the gauges above that, that's your water
level gauge.
Which one's which?
Usually that's the drinking water and then your general purpose.
All right, so these guys got 190 litre general purpose and 60 drinking.
That's correct.
And they're completely separated.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but down here, at the end of your kitchen galley, you've got two red buttons that are illuminated. They're your water pumps. We illuminate them to indicate that they're on. The idea is you don't leave them on, you only have them on when you're actually using the water, because otherwise if you sprung a leak, it'll just pump all the water out of the tanks, which wouldn't be a good thing.
So once you've finished using the power from the batteries, using the inverter, make sure we turn the inverter off. Otherwise you'll just keep drawing power out of the inverter. So what we do is we flick the switch to the center position to off, flick it back up to mains, and then charger only side. This is where you're going to want to be probably 90% of the time. Unless you're free camping all the time. But that's where you want to be because you're going to get your solar charge and charge from a generator or anything like that if you're plugged into a generator.
Okay, we'll start off with probably the most complicated thing in the whole van, and that's the TV. The TV tuning is very similar to any other, well, it is the same as any other TV you have in your household. It is 12 volt, this TV. So underneath here, we've got our 12 volt connection, which is like a cigarette lighter adapter. And we've got our antenna and speakers connections. I keep them always connected to the back of the TV and just remove them from here when you want to take the TV off the wall. The TV simply slides off the wall like that. It's very light. We supply you a padded TV bag, which I'll put this in before it travels, and then put it on the end of the bed. Right, that's just to protect the TV when you're traveling. We don't endorse it being left on the wall when you're traveling. All right, now to turn the TV on, we've got a normal TV remote. I think I've just pulled the cord out. All right, antenna. So you wind go on an antenna. First of all, you got to wind it all the way up, and then point it in the direction by pulling down and pointing in the direction you want the antenna to go. My tip is if you're going to a caravan park or you're around any other caravanners, look at which way their antenna's pointing and face yours towards theirs. And that most times will get you a pretty good signal. When you go to the TV remote, you go to menu, push that button there, go down to auto tuning, hit auto tuning, and we'll go through a couple of things there and it will start tuning itself. You do need to retune it just about every time you stop, which is one of the unfortunate things I guess about caravanning. But that's going to find a heap of channels there, probably. Alright, other than that, there's probably not too much more I need to run through on that. There is an instruction manual in the books on how all that operates anyway. In the top drawer of the van, you will find, when you get your van, The remote controls for the TV, the air conditioner, spare 240 connection, power connection for the TV, which we don't use, but you can if you like to. Remote control for the stereo. But most importantly is this socket. And this socket is a wheel nut adapter, so you can take your wheels off. We've put it in this drawer, so you can't lose it. Once you've got it, put it somewhere where you know where it is all the time. Because without this, you can't take the wheels off, and that's pretty important. All right. We'll just keep moving along the kitchen, I guess. That makes sense. A tap. So, making sure your water pumps are on again. We've got 2 taps here. We've got your general purpose water, used drinking, and then your filtered drinking water down the bottom there. Like I said before though, make sure you leave that off whenever you're not using it. With our cooktop, assuming your gas is on, which it is because we turned it on before, you should be able to light this very easily. So push the knob in, turn it around to full flame, and use the P zone to ignite. Hold it in for a couple of seconds. I didn't hold it in for long enough then. You see that's working. Now at the moment we're on 240 power, so I can actually put this element on here as well, but I won't. When it first gets hot, you will get a bit of a smell as it burns off the whatever they put on there, the chemical they use on there. So don't worry about that too much. In here we've got our trays and stuff for your oven, all still in their plastic. I find a lot of people don't even use these, so we'll leave that in there for you and you can decide what you want to do with those. Alright, microwave. Microwave obviously is a microwave. I won't even explain how to use that because it's very easy to operate. If I want to know if the inverter is working or not, this is probably the easiest thing to see because you can see straight away the clock will come on only if we have 240 power in the van. Your range hood, which you got a light, you got your fan speeds, and you got your on and off. These do vent out too, by the way, but they vent straight out the back, not up. Your stereo. Your stereo is a pretty basic stereo, but effective nevertheless. It is very much a car stereo. You turn it on. Once it powers up, you can find the channels and you can tune it in like you normally would. It has got Bluetooth as well, and an SD card, USB, DVD, CD player. It's got all those bits and pieces all in one. I don't know if you can see the screen. I can barely see it from where I'm standing, but it is working. It's not tuned in. We've got a little charging station here, which has got your 12 volt and your 240 powers in there as well. There is also a hole through here, so you can run a power lead down and say if you wanted to run a kettle or something on the bench below it. Right, so keeping in law with how far away 240 power points can be from the cooking, we've been able to sort of get around that by doing it that way. It's a little slide out kitchen, slide out pantry. Now the fridge. The fridge you'll see is nice and cold because we've been running it to make sure it all works. Very easy operation in the fridge. You press this button here. You scroll it to decide what to which power source you want or what setting you want. So this one here I can change the power. I normally run it on that one there. So it cycles. If you run it on this top one, it will stay cycling all the time and annoy you. You don't need it that cold. This is currently running on 240 power because we've just plugged the van into 240 power. But if I pull that 240 plug out, that will change to a battery symbol, and that means it's now running off your battery in the Caravan. Down the bottom here, I don't know if we can get that shot down there. If you're wondering what this device is here on the ground level next to the fridge, that's a gas detector. Okay, it's there to detect any gas leaks or anything like that, but they are very sensitive, so certain chemicals, cleaning products and stuff like that could set that off. If it does, just fan the area around it with a towel or whatever, and it will stop after a few seconds. Quite annoying, but a very good safety feature that we think is worth that annoyance. If you come into the bathroom, we'll have a look at the washing machine. It's a washing machine, pretty basic operation on the washing machine too, but before you operate it, you need to make sure that the 240 power is on, which it is. You turn your tap on up here, and you press your button there, and it gives you your water level, that what cycle you want to work, and then you start and pause on and off. This basket here, be careful when removing this. You grab these 2 tabs here and you pull that out. This is actually a peg basket, but it doubles as a holder for the drum of the washing machine, so it stops the washing machine bouncing around when you're traveling and coming off its belt. So make sure you replace it each time. Okay, so now this is the air conditioning control. It is pretty basic, currently set at 22 degrees, on off, which sort of mode you want. If you want to boost the fan for a short period of time, there's also a timer for sleeping and stuff like that as well. We don't fit the bracket to the wall because we don't know where you want it, but what I would do is use double-sided tape and fit that wherever you like. Or you can just put it back in the drawer. This will be in that top drawer, like I said before. The air conditioning is working nice. It's very, very hot here at the moment, and that's beautiful. All right, dinette table. So this is your trifold table. Nothing particularly complicated about that in any way, shape, or form. It's very easy to operate. What we do is we supply a strap. So for normal traveling, that's fine like that. But if you're going to go on corrugated roads or dirt roads, we supply this strap here. That is a very simple operation. You just put this through and you tighten this up. I won't do that right now, but you'll tighten that up and that will just stop that from being able to bounce at all when you're going on corrugations. I'll do that up before it goes on the truck. Your windows. So your windows you're going to need to be a little bit careful with because all windows can be a little bit fragile. These are good ones though. Press this button here, turn it 90 degrees on all 5 latches on this one. And you just push it till it clicks. That's your first opening spot, second opening spot, third opening spot, and then all the way to come back in. Don't pull it back because you will break these struts if you do that. When you close these, be very aware of this. It needs to come back to that position there to be locked, not that position in between. In between, there's still an air gap there. So that's windows locked, and you can get air in, but you don't want to be doing that in traveling because the air will get in there and eventually pull the window out. So we'll lock all that up. Blinds. So first one's our midget-proof screen. And pull that down and just clip them in. And then you can pull that all the way up there for your blockout blind or anywhere in between. To release these, it's just a matter of squeezing that and squeezing that one there, and then that will retract. You do need to sort of push it down a little bit. These pelmets here on all windows, top and bottom, can pop open. These will need lubricating with a bit of silicone spray every now and again because they will start to get a bit tight. If you have any problems with that, you can talk to us and we can show you how to do it. But I think it's in the instruction manual as well, actually. And then all you need to do is click them back on. Alright, I think that's the main things of the van covered. I won't go into the storage, like you've got storage underneath the dinette, you've got storage underneath the bed, obviously you've got all your cupboard storage. You're going to need to have a good play with the van, really. It's just a matter of using it, but I think we've covered the main things. If there's anything in particular that I've missed that you do want to know, please feel free to call us, text, email, whatever you feel comfortable with. But we hope you enjoy your van. In fact, I'm confident you will enjoy your van. Yeah, thank you very much.